On August 17th of this year, things are going to change for buyers and how they pay their agents. A lot of agents are going to have you sign that if the seller is not paying the commission, then you will pay them directly. And of course, that price is negotiable, but a lot of agents, because they're so used to earning a certain percentage, will probably still be asking for that percentage from their buyers. So I want to prepare you if you're thinking about going it alone with no agent to avoid the extra fee, because right now you're going to have to pay, of course, your down payment in most cases, closing costs, and now on top of that, particularly making it more expensive for first-time home buyers that are usually a little money tight anyway. So I want to make sure that if you decide to go straight to the listing agent, there are some things that I want you to make sure that you look out for and that you're prepared for. I'm Shaheedah Hill, getting you over the hill to home ownership and helping you confidently buy your first home. So let's talk about this first. If you decide to go to the listing agent to buy your home, you want to be absolutely aware that they do not represent you. The listing agent represents their client and they're contractually obligated to represent them. So never get confused. Even if they're very professional, maybe they're very sweet and they're very nice, they are contractually obligated to represent the seller and not you. The seller in some cases can sue their agent if they fail to represent them properly. And sometimes by helping you do certain things, that is not in the best interest of the seller. So they have to do things that they're legally obligated to do, but that's pretty much it. So if you go to the listing agent, you're pretty much going unrepresented. You are essentially representing yourself. So before you do this, I want you to get a copy of the contracts that most agents use in your state. And you can get this sometimes from the listing agent. You may be able to go to, maybe get this online. It's going to be maybe a little bit difficult, but I want you to try to get this ahead of time. So if you're thinking about going directly to the listing agent, you can ask them, just like you would ask sometimes of a new construction community, and you would ask that agent, could you see the contract ahead of time to review it? You could ask the listing agent, you know what, I would like to see a copy of the contract ahead of time, but somehow you need to get your hands on one of your state contracts. And most of these contracts that agents use are fill in the blank. We're not lawyers, so we're trained to use a standard contract where typically we just fill in blanks. So this is something you can look at and be looking over ahead of time to make sure you kind of understand the type of contract you're going to be seeing. Because if you go to the listing agent, they're going to help you fill in those blanks. They'll say, how much do you want to offer? You know, whatever those blanks are, they're going to ask what you want to put in those blanks. However, they can't advise you as to what to put in those blanks. For example, if there's a due diligence period, they cannot say, well, it's best to do a 5-day, 7-day, or 10-day due diligence period because they don't want to go against their seller's best interest. They may say, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to have a due diligence period at all? And so in that case, you would have to know what is enough time to do your inspections and that sort of thing. All right. And I'm going to give you a lot of options for help that is not directly paying an agent, probably the higher percentages. So if you can get this contract ahead of time, that would be great. I also want you to start looking at real estate attorneys that are willing to review the contract. A lot of the attorneys have not talked much about helping buyers directly with, reviewing contracts and that sort of thing. But some real estate companies offer this as part of their services. So you want to make sure you're doing your research about that ahead of time and have an agent that you can call on to review your contract. I know places like New York, New Jersey, they go through a contract review period, and that might be more and more common as this change takes place with the real estate commissions. Now, again, depending on the cost in your state, it might be more cost effective for you to pay an agent. And we're going to talk about that next. So there are going to be more and more agents that are willing to take you from contract to close. And even the listing agent, so they don't have any conflicts of interest, a lot of times they have offered your agent 1%. So if you have found the property on your own, this is the property you want to make an offer on, maybe you've seen it prior, and you just want somebody to take you from contract to close, that is another option that you can start researching to say, okay, how much would you charge? I already found the property. I already know what I make, because a lot of people say, I found the property on my own. If you found the property that you want and you already know what you want, you could get an agent to potentially take you just from contract to close. They're not going to take you out every weekend, show you properties, that sort of thing, but they may have a flat fee or percentage that will take you from contract to close. So those are the things that I want you to be looking for ahead of time. And these are the things that I want you to make sure that you understand and you're protected in your contract. These are a few, and they may vary, again, depending on your state. That's why the attorney and possibly the agent that will take you from contract to close could be really valuable for you. So you want to talk about your inspection period and your due diligence period. How does that work? Are you able to get out of your contract if you find things during that inspection or due diligence period? You want to make sure you understand that. Either the lawyer goes over that with you or the agent goes over that with you. You want to make sure you have your contingencies, your finance contingency and your appraisal contingency, depending on the type of loan you have. And you want to make sure those days are pretty solid, because those days you're going to have to follow up on, because if you just have the lawyer do the contract review, you may be the person that has to follow up on those dates. And then earnest money. So when you're putting up earnest money, you want to make sure that you know how that earnest money is refunded to you if you don't move forward, or you can potentially lose it if certain things happen. And then also disclosures. What does the seller have to disclose to you about this property ahead of time? And did they properly disclose those items? Those are some of the things that you want to make sure that you go over with the attorney or go over with the agent. I think there'll be more and more agents that are willing to do a contract to close. I do have my masterclass. I want to say that if you are going to go alone, please go ahead and get my masterclass. It goes over everything step by step with videos and sample documents, samples of everything, contracts, inspections, appraisals. So that would be really valuable to you as well. The link is below, but I think there's going to be a lot more agents that are in the position to take a client from contract to close to make sure that portion of the process goes smoothly and you're protected during that time, because I feel that lawyers are going to charge probably more than a real estate agent would do for about the same amount of work, since most attorneys bill you by the hour. So just think about that. And that 1% may be covered by the listing agent, because again, a lot of times what we find in listings, or it's probably not going to be there after August 17th, but they would say things like, if the listing agent shows the property to the buyer, then the buyer's agent is only eligible for 1% of commission. And so they may have something like that. So they make sure that they are not having a conflict of interest. They're still willing to pay your agent something enough to, again, get you from contract to close. So let me just recap, because I know I said a lot. Number one, I want you to try to get a copy of the contract that is most commonly used in your state ahead of time. I want you to find an attorney, if you need one, to review your contract, who you're going to use. You want to do that ahead of time as well. And then you want to see if there's an option for an agent that's willing to take you from contract to close, where they're not going to, tour properties with you and show you properties. But once you make a decision on what house you want to make an offer on, they're willing to take you from contract to close. So August 17th, I'm sure I'm going to have more videos, but I just wanted to put that, in your ear ahead of time. Again, get my masterclass so you're prepared, so you know exactly what the other side is thinking and doing, and so you can make the best decision with your home purchase. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments.